Star Trek has always been known to be an inclusive show, but what if I told you they made a trans episode back in the 90s? Hello all you beautiful people, I'm Ms. Salad Pryde. It's with 3 Z's and a Y, because why not? In this video we're going to be talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, specifically The Outcast, otherwise known as the trans episode. The plot of the episode follows the first officer, Riker, meeting with Soren, one of the members of the Janai. And Riker quickly learns that the Janai see gender is outdated. All of their species is gender neutral. However, there are some people who do experience gender, and they're social outcasts. And it is a crime to have these feelings and express them. Where have I heard this before? I'm a Trekkie, and I'm also of the belief that in the Star Trek universe, that they are accepting of trans people. However, some parts of this episode are written in such a way to explain basic concepts to the audience, like the idea of gender-neutral pronouns, because Riker's somehow confused by that when they, them exists and neo-pronouns exist. I feel like Riker should have learned this. This is like at the bare minimum first day Starfleet training. And even though Riker doesn't understand at first, he's still understanding and friendly. It frustrates me to no end that there are people in this world who, even though you don't understand trans stuff, your first instinct is to, let's be as mean as we possibly can. That's a bad thing. That's a horrible characteristic to have in someone. When you encounter something you don't understand, your first instinct shouldn't be, I'm gonna hate on this person. Your first instinct is, I'm gonna respect you even though I don't quite understand it, and I might learn a little bit more along the way. That's the instinct you should be having.
Hey, just because I don't understand doesn't mean I don't care.
But they do tackle some important things here. Like, culturally, there are different societal expectations. Not just with gender, but with a lot of things. For example, in the Janai culture, they sleep together for warmth. It's not a sexual thing, they just do it for warmth. Whereas to humans, that seems a little bit strange. One thing I noticed when rewatching this episode was the language they used. For example, whenever Riker discusses what a man or a woman is, he uses the word sex. And whenever Soren talks about men and women, she uses the word gender. Now, sex and gender are often used interchangeably in our society, but there's a difference there. Sex has to do with your anatomy and chromosomes. Sex is really only relevant in daily life to your doctor and people you're sleeping with, and not just for warmth. Gender, on the other hand, are the social roles that are commonly associated with certain sexes, but they aren't the same thing. So, for example, a woman is the social characteristics commonly associated with people who are assigned female at birth. Not everyone assigned female at birth is a woman, and not everyone who's a woman was assigned female at birth. Think about it like a Venn diagram. In one, you have assigned female at birth people. This refers to people who, when they were born, had female genitalia visible. And on the other side, you have women. Now, there's a lot of overlap here, so much so that some people think it's a complete circle. But that's not in fact the case. Not everyone is both. In the middle, you have cisgender women. Cisgender women are women who are assigned female at birth. And in the other side here, you have trans women and intersex women. I am a trans woman. What that means is that when I was born, there was visible male genitalia, but in fact, I was always a woman on the inside. And intersex is an umbrella term for people whose sex does not fit the typical definition, chromosomally, physically, stuff like that. People in this category who aren't women include trans men and non-binary people. Now, this episode has a bit of an issue because it still conflates gender and gender expression together. Women and feminine. Not all women are feminine. Some women are masculine or androgynous. It all depends on one's experience. Likewise, there are some men. Not all men are masculine. There are some men who are feminine or androgynous. It's a big spectrum, and it should be appreciated for what it is. Isn't the world beautiful when you can see it through this lens?
I understand, Mr. Spock. The glory of creation is in its infinite diversity.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
This episode also has a bit of an issue with the heterosexual lens of it, attraction towards the opposite gender, when in fact there are more than 2 genders, all that sort of stuff. And not everyone is a heterosexual. Some people like the same gender. Some people like more than one gender, and some people don't like any genders at all. And that's okay. And Soren explains throughout this episode that She's always felt like a woman, and this has hurt her because her society won't accept her. And she gives this really powerful speech when she comes out to Riker.
I've known I was different all my life, but I did not know how or why until I was older.
And even though Riker doesn't understand, he's still a good ally because he understands the struggle there and wants to be accepting, even if he doesn't get it. But in the end, she's sentenced to conversion therapy and has this really passionate speech. I am female. I was born that way. I've had those feelings, those longings, all of my life. It is not unnatural. I am not sick because I feel this way. I do not need to be helped. I do not need to be cured. What I need, and all those who are like me need, is your understanding and your compassion. And perhaps the biggest issue with this episode is how they talk about conversion therapy. Because conversion therapy is a part of this episode. It's not an allegory, it's conversion therapy, and the way they depict it works. It does not work. It actually increases suicidality, makes people feel worse about themselves, when in fact transitioning does the opposite. And conversion therapy is a form of torture and should be illegal in my view. Not to mention, even the United Nations has called for a ban on conversion therapy. But nonetheless, one thing they show in this episode is that even though conversion therapy works within the realm of the episode, it's still a tragedy. Well, not just because Riker and Soren can't be together, but because Soren is living a lie. And I think that's a really profound statement to make here. When someone isn't being their authentic self, it's still wrong. If there was a cure for being transgender, I would not take it. Being trans is a journey, and I love the journey I've been on. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And as a trans person online, I get a lot of hate. And there are some people who use religion as their means for that hate, where they say, God doesn't make mistakes. I don't believe in any deity or an afterlife. I feel as though being trans is not a mistake at all. It has made me a more empathetic and compassionate person. And if you're religious, you can see it through that lens. I've learned from my journey and become a more compassionate and empathetic person. That's a good thing. After all, this makes much more sense of God's plan than giving kids cancer. It's also kind of weird that they're lecturing me as if I were a Christian, even though I've stated I'm not. If Christians were told, why aren't you fasting for Ramadan? It just isn't applicable to them. I hear from people all the time how much of a difference these videos make. And if you want to help me keep making them, you can sign up for my Patreon at patreon.com/SallyPrydeDrag. Plans are as low as $3 a month. Link is in the description. Hey, if you can't afford to support me, at least subscribe and give this video a like it. And any engagement you give, liking, disliking, commenting, it makes sure the algorithm shows you more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.